Alright, welcome to episode 16 of The End of Everything. Today we have the lovely Joseph Harlow joining us. And we're just going to have a little bit of chat to him about his experience in the film industry, a little bit about his artwork and where he wants to go in the future. It's going to be really sort of a bit of a casual chat. And hopefully it doesn't take 6 hours because I believe it probably could.
Yeah, we could run on for a while.
Probably,
Yeah,
we've certainly talked to a few people about the film industry here in New Zealand. Like we were talking to Jack the other week, and who else did we talk to?
Ourselves?
I talked to ourselves a lot.
I don't know, maybe it doesn't mean Jack.
It might only Jack, but
there was another fella who used to he studied with you that has gone and done his own thing now.
Cameron?
Oh, Cameron? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I mean that was a little bit about like 3D scanning and that kind of interest there. But yeah, like, the film industry's been certainly a big part, but we haven't really heard a lot about what it's like on the outside of New Zealand.
And the outside of Weta as well, which is a slightly different setup to being on production.
Well, I mean, Weta's almost a little bit of an anomaly, right?
Yeah.
I think, I mean, wherever you want to start, but perhaps how growing up and...
So I grew up in the north of England in Yorkshire. Which there is no film industry up there. So I went to after sort of sixth form, went down to study at university in Hertfordshire, which had a course that had industry ties to the film industry. So that was like it was a model making course, which also crossed over into prop making and things like that. And that was it was a very sort of self-taught, self-led sort of thing. It sounds quite similar to what you guys were doing on industrial design. But the good thing was it had lots of, at the time especially, lots of good industry ties. And my first work experience was on Captain America, the First Avenger.
Oh yeah, yep.
So we were making all the little knobs and dials and levers and that sort of stuff for the Rebirth lab where he first gets his powers. This green laboratory.
Yep. It kind of looked like old sort of a nuclear kind of control room or something.
That's right, so it's very like 40s period, that sort of stuff. And then we also had other like Hydra labs that were a bit more on the sort of kind of like diesel punky, sci-fi style 40s thing. Yeah. So it was right up my street actually. And Marvel was just starting to get Iron Man had just been released and they were working on Thor as well as Captain America at that time. So that was the very early days of Marvel, and look at it now. It's
I mean, how many years ago was that now?
So that must have been 8 or 9 years ago. Maybe 10.
That's crazy. It seems like
that came a long way in 10 years.
So it's the first Captain America.
Yeah, so that was when I was in the second year of uni, which I graduated in 2011, so that's back to around 2009.
Yeah, I think actually
2010.
The University of Hertfordshire that you went to, I think a lot of people that I work with at fostering partners also did the same course.
Yeah, so in the UK it seems to be University of Hertfordshire or Bournemouth was the other big one. And both equally as good, I'd say. If not, maybe even Bournemouth slightly better course, but maybe Hertfordshire at the time had better industry contacts.
Yeah.
I think either way, I think they've sort of caught up with each other now.
Did you do that in London? They had that show where everyone like displayed their model, like their piece for the end of the year and their last year. We were doing that as well.
Yeah, we had. So we had our own sort of university graduate show, and then there was the New Blades.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
And that was good. Yeah, I did actually get work off that as well. I ended up working in stills photography when the film industry was quiet for a little while. But for the most part, my contacts came off of Captain America or people I met around that.
Yeah.
Because often on those sort of films, everyone comes together for a film, and then after that film finishes, everyone goes off either onto different projects or onto the next project together. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes a combination of both. So you can, as long as you make a good impression with enough people, people might want to take you on to their next project or keep you in mind, and that's kind of how it sort of ended up developing after I graduated.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I think the film industry is so you have to be skilled and you have to know your stuff, but it is very much a who you know sort of an industry. I think a lot, when we were talking at university the other day, it's how do you get into Weta? Part of it's be good at what you do, but a lot of it is make friends with the right people, and it's hard to say that to someone maybe when they're in university because you kind of want to hear that if I work really hard, I'm guaranteed to get in. But unfortunately, it is kind of networking really, a networking industry. But I guess a lot of industries are like that. Really, that's kind of how the real world works, maybe.
Yeah, and I prefer the phrase, like everyone says it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I think it's who rates you.
Yeah.
Like, so it is a bit of what you know. Like you can't be crap at your job, and you can't be like a dick. Or not get on with people. So if people like you and like your work, or think your work's good, or you try hard, or you learn quickly, then they're gonna keep hiring you, or take them to the next project.
That's definitely a good way for it.
So who rates you, I think is kind of good, because that gives you a little bit of credit as well as knowing people.
No, but I mean that's entirely it though. Like if you are just a dick, like if you are just going to work your way through that industry by slagging off other people and things like that, you're not going to go far. It's a small community, even though it's global.
Totally. I remember there were some people at the early days of uni that was sort of seeing it quite competitively, and it just did not work out like that. The more we helped each other out, the more we got for each other, and it really was more of a cooperative thing. Just because whenever the first person got on the film, out of our we had a real strong friend group that were all very talented people as well, so we would happily recommend them because we know that they're very good and we know that they're lovely. So we all managed to really help each other, and that definitely paid off, But if we'd have all taken the more competitive attitude and they'd go, oh, do you have any friends that don't know anyone? Then you can't return the favour, and it doesn't, and you can't expand the network as much. Exactly. It definitely added by
all ships ride with the tide.
Yeah, that's right.
Great saying. Yeah,
that's cool.
So where did you go on from Captain America?
So Captain America was like a summer thing, and then I went back to university, and then there was a little bit on X-Men First Class as well, through Artem. That's where I first met Bob Thorne, and I ended up building a time machine for him. That was part of my third year final project.
Cool.
And also worked for Bob after that as well. Bob's Bits is his sort of side company. He was also a director at Artem at the time, and he's now got his own company called Anarchy. So I sometimes worked for Artem in between, because Artem was a little bit like a smaller version of Weta that was running year round doing adverts and TV stuff. Right. And then the film stuff just sort of, whenever a big film came on, I tried to get onto those ones because they were a little bit better paid and a bit more exciting work. So the first ones after graduating were Gravity, World War Z, and then it got a bit quiet, and that's when I did my stills photography, model making. That was a good experience.
So what was that? What was that?
That was just working for a fella called Ben Miller, who has a company called Miller Models. He was based in Enfield, which was a bit of a drive for me, but it was when it was quiet, and he was just a really good mentor, and he sort of taught me all his tricks of the trade, and it was a bit more traditional model making because it was for stills photography, so it was like.
So
what examples of stuff we made? We made like a city that was all made out of golf tees, so there was lots of turning up golf tees in the lane. What else? We did like a model satellite that had container ships. It's for a HSBC advert.
Right.
That was about transmitting in the future goods will be transmitted, not stored. So it's like just like visual gags, as billboards or whatever. There was like a little models city that had to look like a toy town, so we were just sort of like laser cutting lots of stuff, and so that's when I properly got into this sort of, I call it like new school model making, where it's kind of like using laser cutters and
digital manufacture a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. We weren't fully down 3D print side. It was more like laser cut, but it was very much. We have a CAD model, and then we model make the bits that we can't CAD up. So we'll like do bits on the lathe or do bits on the saw, and just that's got a bit more facety or that sort of stuff, or just the more organic stuff you then work yourself, sort of thing.
Cool.
And then and then after that, film work picked up again, and it was just a roller coaster after that. So it was just like I think then it was Edge of Tomorrow. The Tom Cruise one with the Exo-6. That was actually probably one of my most on-set sort of experiences on that one. And then there's Guardians of the Galaxy after that, and Avengers 2. Probably missing something in between. We did a bit on Exodus. And the Ridley Scott one.
Yeah.
It was cool. We were doing Chariot, so it was kind of fun for us. But and then when Star Wars picked up, so after Avengers 2, Avengers 2 I was good because I was in a position where I had to choose between Force Awakens and Avengers 2. Ooh. And I was so keen to do Force Awakens. But just the timing and it worked out, and it got put back, so I was forced to take Avengers 2, but it was the best decision probably in my career because Mark, the guy I worked for on Avengers, he ended up getting the gig for Rogue One and Episode 8 and all the ones following that. So it was good to get in his core team, and I was on from start to finish, on all of those ones after that. So
what were you doing on this? Were you on set, or were you
Star Wars?
Sorry.
For Star Wars, everyone's a little bit different. So for Star Wars, I was because on Avengers I kind of got known for doing the laser cut stuff after doing Miller models.
Yeah.
So he sort of had me in for Star Wars to start doing all the control panels, so that we had loads of stuff to do for like Star Destroyer bridges and things like that. So lots of basically just laser cut acrylic drop-ins that go into these MDF consoles. And they're all backlit, so we have little bits that are sort of cut out. We had little buttons in and things like that. So lots of laser cutting, lots of vinyl cutting as well. So we're then laying vinyl over, so it's all got all the techie lines all over it. And that became, like I say, it started off just me and this fella Tom, and that became a whole team by the end of it. So we had 4 of us on Rogue One, and then about 5 of us on Episode 8, and by Episode 9 there was 9 of us at one. So I was sort of leading a team of 9 people by the end of it. It was quite it became a good sort of career opportunity to sort of get in. There was lots of liaising, so I was mostly in the workshop making stuff. That was the main role, but there was a lot of installing stuff, and the more we sort of started doing a bit of that, the more they just left us to it. So we ended up, that became more and more of the job as each film progressed, sort of thing. So, which is fine. I quite enjoyed being able to go onto the sets and be a part of it.
Yeah,
we're very rarely there for the shoot. Once we've installed our bits, especially control panels, they shouldn't break, and you shouldn't need to go in there. So definitely didn't need us on standby or anything. Whereas obviously the exosuits with human inside, you've got to get them in and get them out.
Yep.
So that was a little bit more hands-on on the set.
But I get you.
It was definitely a part of the construction of the set, but less of the shooting of the set than the first Star Wars ones.
It's such cool, like Star Wars. Just like it'd be so cool to do that from the fanboy point of view,
So my whole family, we kind of grew up with it. One of the things that got me into making was like building the Lego models of the so we'd get some of the smaller sets, so we had some of them in, and then we'd build the bigger spaceships ourselves, just out of all the different bits. Quite crude, but it's fun. Yeah.
Oh, no, I totally know what you mean. Yeah, we've all been there.
So definitely, new Star Wars inside out. So to be working on it was really.
How was your experience working in the film versus being a viewer? So did it shatter any illusions? Did it enhance the experience? What do you think?
By that point, I'd already had the kind of knew what to expect in terms of separate the film world and your experience from it from when you go to see it. Because I'd done quite a few, like Captain America. Captain America was the weirdest one because I could barely watch it without being on those sets or reliving,
having nightmares when you see certain props. And
it's fine.
Your experience, I couldn't separate it, but now I can totally suspend disbelief watching something, and I don't even think about. Well, it depends. If I'm in the moment of the film, I can watch it with 2 lenses, and I can kind of switch between them almost.
But there's totally something everyone goes through though, isn't it? Like watching your first film, I think Ghost in the Shell might have been a good example for me, maybe. Just seeing everything on that film, it's like you just couldn't, engage with anything, like I know that's plastic, or I know this thing, and it's just like, oh god, I wish we did that better, or whatever it was, and like you just couldn't really view it as a film.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. You do just kind of develop those two lenses.
Yeah, especially over time as well. Like maybe the first time watching it is a little bit jarring, but then once you watch it a couple of times, you know what the story's about. You just go with the flow of it.
Yeah.
And maybe your memory of it is faded and all other bad memories. Like you've managed to work them out, and
this is amazing too. Like I remember, like you've probably seen like a few, a bit of like the raw footage for some of these films, like what do you call them, the dailies and stuff like that. And, and what editing does compared to that, like it's amazing what those editors do to bring the film alive.
Yeah,
you know, and what a bit of background foley and things like that. Like, how they, you know, grabbing all the raw footage, how different it is to like the final result, and like with all the CG and things like that.
Especially moving forwards now, you get those epic sets that you know, Lord of the Rings, you know, the original, you know, when they build half a Helm's Deep or whatever. It's you know, it's very rarely done like that now. It's you know, but to be fair, like, Star Wars, the more recent ones have lent into the physicality quite heavily, and like I think it's been good. I mean, I don't know if I love the new film. I mean, I don't know, how do you feel about new films? I don't know.
Some of them, more than others. I like, you know, I'm just...
Rogue One was quite... I quite enjoyed Rogue One. I think that's my favourite.
Rogue One is definitely my favourite. It's the sort of film I wanted them to be making. I get that they've sort of done a new trilogy and they've tried it, but it's not for I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm with it, but I'm not 100%. You know what I mean? Like, it's good. I like him.
I mean, but, impossible to capture the old essence of
I think that's
our nostalgia, right?
Yeah, it's
like,
true.
how
it's
would
hard
you
to
do that?
live up to that expectation.
Yeah.
I still enjoy them. For me, I'm just happy to see the universe being expanded and all the cool new planets and all the cool new and like I say, can't complain about the work that it's brought me. And when you're on the films as well, you always do end up being slightly biased towards, you know, appreciating it a bit more because you know how much work's gone into it and all that as well. And this sort of design stuff, it's less jarring because you've spent more time around it, maybe. I don't have a problem with any of the new ones, but I can see how people feel about it. I do get it as well. I'm super stoked about the Mandalorian one, which I have nothing to do with. So, it's
a total surprise.
And no one I know has worked on it either because it was done elsewhere. So I mean, that's going to be watching that totally with fresh eyes, and I think that's the total right direction to go with Star Wars as well.
Like I guess they might have, but that's it. Like and perhaps that's there were no real Jedis in Rogue One, were there? Were there?
Not
really.
Because I think that's the really cool thing, and like they've tried to do it a couple of times in the past with video games and stuff as well. Is that they've tried to visit the rest of the Star Wars universe without Jedis and almost the fantasy element. They actually like sort of leave that and just go into the background universe, which is so intriguing.
Yeah.
But they just haven't been able to do it yet. And
I think brave enough. Like, they've just trying to tick too many boxes all at once, I think. But for me, for anyone who's a real big Star Wars fan, like you'd be happy with any corner of it because they've all got something to offer. You know. So like I say, I as much as we grew up with the films, we grew up playing the video games as well. Like we were just talking about pod racing. You know, that was such a good video game. Like,
good.
I would definitely see a pod racing film. That would be so good. Or like just focus on any, you know. Cause,
I think the whole concept was awesome, like jet engines instead of horses. Like it's just like so good.
Well, that scene, like, you know, episode 1, it is what it is, I guess. But that scene is like amazing. Like it's such a exciting whatever car chase thing race, you know, it's just so well done. But
then like there's the combination of the noises, like Sebulba's thing compared to the other ones, like, it's like it's so good. There's something and like I mean I played that game to death, you know. Like, all my mates did as well.
We had Rogue Squadron as well, where you just focus on being a pilot, so you know, again, no lightsabers, no force powers, but it's still a great way to explore the planets, a great way to sort of see the universe from a different perspective. So I still feel like there's, you know, as much as people they were worried they were going to oversaturate Star Wars, I think if it's done well, you won't feel like the same film every time. You'll feel you can have so many different genres going on within that universe. But whether they take it in that direction or not is not up to us. They're just prop makers. But
it's kind of like with your kind of direction and like some of your artwork, like that's heavily influenced that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, totally. So the graphic design style of Star Wars is obviously very 70s, especially for Rogue One, which is the first one that I got involved in. The graphic design team, led by Laura Dishington, Hannah Cons and Dominic Seekins, just give them some props there. Yeah, they were the graphics team. They were very good and very tuned into Harry Lang, who's like the original production designer of the original Star Wars. So he brought a weird graphic design style that was actually developed by NASA, at least. I don't know how much they used it, but the idea of it was like boxes around buttons to lead an astronaut's finger to naturally, intuitively press what he needed to press at the right moment.
Right.
So it's really abstract that you've got weird, white boxes around little buttons and little dots that supposedly to naturally guide your hand. So he used that in 2001 Space Odyssey, so he was a designer on that, and then Star Wars after that. So a lot of that style then came on Star Wars, but it became a bit more abstract for Star Wars. So because it's a more abstract universe, or less scientific as 2001 maybe.
I mean, that was 2001 was always felt like we had a couple of tutors in uni who were like huge sci-fi fans. Like that's kind of why our course led so directly into Weta and the film industry. But 2001 was always used as a great example of that because of the thinking behind its design. Like they're thinking about how people would interact with these, whether it be consoles, furniture, equipment, and like people living in these spaces. It's those sort of considerations that are just so rare in a film because you never need to go into such detail.
No, but it's what sells it, isn't it? It's what makes it lived in, and like I said, for Star Wars, it adds so much of the charm. Those inch square buttons, that are everywhere, and those little boxes that go around with little, the pilots have them on their chest. That's the kind of thing that you see all over. Like every door entry has something similar.
Yeah.
So that is very much the style of a Star Wars control panel. They really ran with that, and So that again, like I say, I was sort of working with them. They led the sort of design, set the design style, but there was odd occasions where there was extra panels that were required that I was sort of involved in editing some of their stuff to make it a different size, just so we could sort of fit it in there. And I just really like that style and really like that sort of simplified way, and sort of started working that into my own work.
So would they give you like a 2D plan of these things almost? Or?
Yeah, so they basically worked in Illustrator,
okay,
and we worked with Rhino to get it to the laser cutters and the vinyl cutters. So they supplied us with an artwork that was almost usable, like in terms of cutting, and then we would just take it that last stage to get it all worked out in the correct layers, so that we could make sure everything was cut out, so that it was going to lie properly. Obviously, by the end of it, we actually made the control panels in multiple layers as well, so we could have things that were flush, or things that were raised, or things that were at different. They actually became quite not over-engineered, but like well thought out, So they started off quite just one sheet of acrylic with bits stuck on, and by the end of it, they were a sandwich of at least 2 layers, and then we would have bits inset, and it was good. We sort of developed that together because obviously they're looking at it from a 2D graphic design side of it, but they do want it to have this 3-dimensionality to it. So they were asking us about how we do that, how do we make it strong, how do we, so there's a lot of back and forth feedback that I could have, nice interaction with them. That's probably the best thing of the job was the nice interaction I got across different departments as well. So I was able to learn, a bit of graphic design off them, and working with the electronics guys about how they do, so we had, they were DMX controlling it all on set, so they were sort of grouping it all, so they could control every single LED on the whole set, those guys were really good as well, so we were delivering our panels to them and then picking them up and taking them on set, and then dealing with the guys on set as well, and just sort of like working around them. Sometimes panels would be painted or aged, so we'd go to paint, and that was the kind of logistics of the job, was kind of we made the panels, but we also kind of escorted the panels around the different departments, and then made sure they got on set, one piece, and it was a good way to sort of interact with like lots of different people. And
it's quite cool because often, my experience of the film, like it could be quite hierarchical, operation. I mean, because of just the nature of it, once a decision is made, it kind of needs to pass down through a lot of people to get done. So it's quite cool when you can have that. Like you can go and talk to someone who's designing it and then make that compromise with the designer to get it made, because often a design choice will be made sort of arbitrarily, basically, and then you're enforced to make that because that is the way it is. But realistically, if you can have that conversation, you can say, hey, can we make some compromises here? And it actually makes your life a lot more easier.
Especially on a tight deadline as well. So, this panel needs to be done by the end of the week, and it's got to go to the electricians have got to have time. Oh, it turns out we're one short of one of these buttons, can I just swap it out and use a different one? So it's just a quick phone call.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah, of course. Just make sure you use the ones that match, and I knew which ones match. So, we could trust each other to sort of be sensible with it.
Yeah.
And they would never be offended if it wasn't exactly what as they prescribed, so they were flexible and we were, like I say, back and forth with them. So and you could also preempt it as well, if rather than cutting the hole ready, specific to that one, if we knew we didn't have enough switches, we can cut a different size hole, so it doesn't cause problems down the line and we don't have to remake things. It was, I've kind of missed having that level of control where you can have a back and forth and just make things sensibly,
And it's probably worth mentioning the the difference between something, say, Weta Workshop, which is an established company that is building on a brand, versus these the companies that build around each production, because basically with each of these films a new company starts. They assign everyone to levels of the hierarchy, and you're done for a year or however long the production runs, and then the whole thing dissolves and they start again with the next film. So there's they don't have to think about the repercussions of the next year or anything like that. And it gives you the ability to work closely with the production team or whoever's on the film, and that sort of thing. So I think that's probably the difference, right? Would you say?
Yeah, I think so, and I think also it gives you the opportunity to have a clean slate each time. And sort of build a new relationship, or often people work with each other on multiple films, so it's sort of adding to that relationship, but it's always a slightly different dynamic. Whereas obviously when it's a fixed company, that dynamic, it doesn't have a big change. It has a gradual, which can just for some reason works differently. Then
it's just different.
And there's no way Weta or any of those companies could have a clean slate.
No, they can't.
They can't stop work for a couple of weeks because they've got all these employees that
and it's better for people to be able to work through.
Sure.
Because that's the big problem. Well, a large problem with the film industry is its inconsistency of work, and especially as you get older and stuff, stability is important, and that is a reality of film work. And Weta's done an incredibly great job at giving people full-time work, because that's very hard thing to do in the industry. It's impressive.
We've kind of talked about most of the glamorous, the positive sides of the industry. It is worth pointing out that it is a very unstable job. And I've been very lucky to be working through a quite busy period, especially in the UK. But there are quiet periods, and some people can be out of work for years, even. If no production has come along, sometimes whatever tax break or whatever going on in politics can affect the whole industry, and it can just knock people out of work for a long time. I know that recently Australia's had a little quiet patch after being really busy, and then what do people do? You have to sort of But you luckily, touch wood, UK has been good for a while, and should continue to be. But who knows? Anything could change.
And I think a lot of people find that quite interesting too, because for people who are employees and do have a consistent job, the idea that for example, at Weta Workshop, we were on a weekly contract. So it's you could legally be let go at the end of next week with 1 week's notice, and a lot of those films were a bit of a longer contract, might be months or something like that, or is that...
No, not necessarily. Well, no? Almost always it was a weekly...
Oh, right, okay.
Even if you are on the books on contract, there is no real promise, because script changes, and anything can happen. So really a week is probably the max. A lot of people come on dailies, and you just get a day's notice. So especially to start off with, it's hard to but the first few films I worked on, I was only on for like a month or 2 months because I was on for the busiest period. So the film sort of like lumps in the middle.
Yeah.
And it kind of starts off quiet, gets real busy, and then hire loads of people, and then it drops some people, and then So if you're part of the core crew, you see that whole ride through. But if you're only just met these people a few times, they'll probably only get you off
peak, whatever.
Yeah. Which is usually like the busiest, craziest. And then you're dropped, and then you've got to find something else.
Yeah.
And it can be so hard to basically plan your life though, right?
Yeah, you've got to live with a lot of ambiguity and uncertainty, which doesn't suit all personality types. And luckily I've not really struggled with that as much. I've kind of enjoyed looking for the new project, or enjoyed the networking aspect of that, and kind of look forward to a new project, moving on to something. But that's, again, I've got to say that's because I've been fortunate to be working around a period where there is a lot of choice, and I also had contacts in, like I was saying about Bob's Bits, companies that if it does get dry, then I can go to them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know that with architectural model making, that's, they were the two big career choices in London as makers, I guess, was the film industry or the model making industry, and a lot of people chose the architecture because of that stability. Really, I mean, you get paid a lot less, and the work's arguably more repetitive or more similar, but you do get that stability because obviously architecture firms are building buildings, constantly.
Yeah.
And they're around and they're built to be around, so there's definitely compromises there.
Yeah. And also, like, I think workshop conditions as well is probably worth mentioning. We are dealing with in-prop making, a lot of chemicals, a lot of sort of health and safety problems come up with that sort of stuff. Dust is a big problem, noise is a big problem, chemicals is a big problem, so like having all the, for a production that has to start from scratch in an empty warehouse, build a workshop, build a film, pack up the workshop and disappear into nothing. It doesn't, a lot of, depending on who's running it, luckily most of the films I've worked on have been quite well set up, but not all of them are. So sometimes the health and safety stuff does lack it a bit, and it definitely is usually better at a company that's got time to set that stuff up properly for their employees. So I think Wes is excellent for that, and I think probably all model making companies would have been better for health and safety.
Very, very onto it.
Yeah.
But also they had a lot of money.
That's a big part.
Yeah, because the models are a tiny fraction of the cost of designing and building a building, so you can afford to have the best kit. But on a film, it's hard as well.
It's also time. I mean, the health and safety thing takes a long time to work out, and a long time to get people into routines, the extraction.
Change culture really.
Change the culture for one, but also just it can shut down the workshop for a couple of days, which is
you can't do on a film. So there is just a make do. This is I'm only on it for a couple of months, so I'll just put up with it. And that attitude can be quite damaging. Different crews handle it differently. I've preferred working for the ones that do take it seriously, health and safety. So
that's good. Well, I mean, for people who this is their career, going from country to country, from project to project, it's not just 2 months, is it? It's
exactly. Exactly. Once you've been doing it, back to back for like 8 years, and then that's 8 years. That's
a lot of
it's not just 2 months here. Exactly. That's a lot.
I thought exactly that actually when I whatever. I'm all right on health and safety, I would have said, but it could be better. And it's that thing of I'm not going to work in a workshop forever. But then just 6 years later, you're still working in a workshop. I shouldn't wear a mask. I'm not now, but I could go back to it. I'm sure I'll go back to it. I love it. It's great. But it's important. Wear a mask.
It is worth pointing out, that there are these are some of the side effects. The long hours is the other sort of downside to and productions. You can not always, depends on again who's running it, but quite often on the film it needs to be done, so you'll run over a lot more, whereas a company might sort of have a bit more rules around that, and a bit more sort of a max limit of how many hours you can do, whereas on the film there isn't.
There's no cap.
They've gotten better as they've gone along. When I first started, there's a lot more people doing late nights or working through the nights and things like that. So silly number of hours per week, but it's gotten better definitely, and I think the culture's changed. I think people are waking up a little bit more to there's no bravado in it. Well, there shouldn't be a bravado in damaging yourself, and damaging your family relationships and things like that. Because if you're spending all of your hours there, and like I say, it starts off, it's only for that job, but then once you've been doing that for 8 years, I haven't got a wife anymore, because I haven't spent any time with her, anything can happen, people who have kids,
that's
feel
serious.
For them,
it's serious. It seriously happens, for sure.
So,
and I guess in your, you're surrounded by a lot of incredible people, alongside this process, and of all, like you say, sort of going into different departments, leather work, a bit of whatever it might be, electronics and things like that. I think, like you mentioned to us recently, that you would like to almost like make the most of that by perhaps starting your own podcast or something like that.
And, totally. So the main thing is everyone's just got such interesting passion projects. And it's almost like, as much as everyone is working all these hours under the sun, they're still making time to make their own art or do their own projects. And there's some fantastic artists in their own right that are just primarily making things for films, but on the side what they do is so much more interesting. So
these are like the career filmies, aren't they? Like they are the people who can go to work, create all this incredible stuff, and go home and just keep going. They did this absolutely live and breathe it. But sadly for those those types as well, you don't have the time to promote it. So what I would really like to do is, like you guys, is just get people, build a community and speak to people about their passion projects and talk a little bit about their background in film and what's inspired their art and things like that. Because that's definitely where my art has come from, is the films that I've worked on. It's the sci-fi stuff, that I really like, and the graphic design, and that's where my stuff's developed out of that, and I can see that happening with a lot of other people. So it'd be really nice. So I'm going to call the podcast the uncredited podcast, because it's the work that gets uncredited and the people that often get missed off the credits sometimes as well. That's great.
But it's just giving a spotlight, or trying to bring those cool projects to people who would never who would never know that sort of stuff's going on behind the scenes. It's kind of the behind the scenes. So I mean, like, it's early days for that, so I've got to still crack on with it. But it's I've got a good network working in the UK and working in New Zealand, so hopefully we'll be able to get a lot of interesting people on. Yourselves perfect candidates for that as well. Where you guys are going with your business as well.
No, I think so too. I think it's a fantastic idea. Like you say, there's the one thing that they do lack is time to, do any of the social media to just publicise themselves, and they're all like mostly a humble bunch that wouldn't want to self-promotion isn't the top of their...
It's hard to take nice photographs, you need to be a photographer, then you need to be someone who does social media, and then video editing if you're going to do a little video. So there's a lot of things, if they don't have much time to do their own art, they definitely don't have much time to do all the publicity stuff. But I think a quick podcast is a good way of getting it out, and just getting it all in one place as well, and just sort of having everyone support each other. I think it would be a bit more of a benefit, because everyone's trying in their own little echo chamber to get their stuff out. Whereas if we can sort of speak together or be on one platform, then I think that might be better for us.
I think tested on YouTube, the Adam Savage back thing. I think that's a great example. To be honest, they've done a really great job of highlighting small artists when they go to Comic-Con and stuff. They'll interview the individual people who are making stuff, and I think they're really good. But I think there's a need for that, and people love it. And as I say, we're so lucky to be like places like where it's like just a glut of talent. Like there's just so much talent there, and like everyone in their own right is amazing at some specific thing.
True.
Which is should be celebrated basically. And there's such an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, that's why I feel it gets uncredited, and it'd be nice to we just be our friend Kira's exhibition was fantastic. People are doing some really amazing stuff, and
definitely.
Cool. Well, I think that's a pretty good place to leave it.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks so much for coming along, Joe. That's awesome. And then we'll see who we got on next week. But we'll see you then. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.